he gonna get caught. He'll pop out on you. He get there too quick.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet?
Several respected boxing analysts have strongly cautioned Jake Paul against stepping into the ring with Gervonta Tank Davis. Recent training footage of Davis showcases blistering speed, devastating power, and flawless technique, proof that he is operating at an elite level. Experts warn that a fight with such a glaring size and skill disparity isn't just physically dangerous for Paul, but could also damage the sport's credibility. They stress that Davis cannot be dismissed as a smaller opponent. He is an explosive, technically polished fighter who excels at trapping and dismantling opponents. If Paul underestimates him or slips into complacency, the consequences could be severe.
Quite surprised. Sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis, it's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rules out retirement. I don't think it's a massive shock he is taking this Jake Paul fight if he's going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for making him not a job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it?
Promoter Eddie Hearn has issued a stark warning to Jake Paul about the dangers of facing Gervonta Tank Davis. According to Hearn, Paul could face not just defeat, but potentially devastating consequences, cautioning him to be careful what you wish for. While acknowledging the fight's enormous commercial appeal, Hearn views the matchup as a dangerous mismatch that puts Paul's safety at risk. He even rated the bout as a 50-50 proposition from a business standpoint, but his underlying message was unmistakable. In this fight, Paul isn't just gambling with his record, he's gambling with his well-being.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is boxing world saying, please AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua, and the most bizarre thing out of everything, Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think it's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Daniel Cormier has offered a balanced yet pointed critique of Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. While acknowledging Paul's promotional genius and rising credibility, remarking, "I respect Jake Paul today," Cormier praised the way Paul has elevated himself to the point where even Netflix continues to partner with him. Still, DC couldn't overlook the glaring mismatch. He stressed that Davis is unquestionably the superior boxer, but the drastic weight difference is impossible to ignore. Davis fought his last bout at roughly 133.8 pounds, while Paul hovers near 200. Cormier warned that if Davis manages to pull off a win, it could completely shatter Paul's momentum. On the other hand, the risk cuts both ways. Should Davis lose, he faces the possibility of serious embarrassment for taking on a man nearly 70 pounds heavier.
When the Disruptor Challenge is a legend, guys, anything can happen. When a kid that was on YouTube and on Disney walked in there and said, I'm going to be a professional boxer, Jake Paul needs to be commended for that. He had a vision, and he honestly executed that vision better than anyone ever could have expected. But sometimes you want something so badly that you don't recognize the dangers that come with wanting that thing and then getting that thing. Now Jake Paul has gotten himself to a point where he's fighting someone that could truly end his career. Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the scariest, most dangerous fighters to ever step foot in the squared circle. For me, it's pretty simple. Jake Paul, in the Mike Perry fight, he got a great appetizer for what he will get in the main event. A fighter that starts very fast, that throws things to take your head off, and you have to kind of match the intensity to ultimately get your shots off.
For middleweight champion Carl Froch has sounded a stern warning about the dangers surrounding Jake Paul's proposed exhibition with Gervonta Tank Davis, pointing to the staggering 65-pound weight gap between the two. Paul usually fights near 200 pounds, while Davis competes at just 135. Froch acknowledged Davis's superior skill set, but cautioned that Paul's sheer size and unorthodox power could pose a serious threat, stressing that Davis won't be used to being hit like that. His comments echo the growing unease across boxing circles, where many view the matchup less as a legitimate contest and more as a dangerous spectacle, one that raises serious questions about both credibility and fighter safety.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer. He never will be. And he proved time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. Swings away, stands up straight and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, there's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, who's a professional, it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced, got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'll do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds, totally different. It's like a different sport.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we just spoke about. What's next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode. But hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in. And I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe. The best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Former super middleweight champion Carl Froch has sounded a stern warning about the dangers surrounding Jake Paul's proposed exhibition with Gervonta Tank Davis, pointing to the staggering 65-pound weight gap between the two. Paul usually fights near 200 pounds, while Davis competes at just 135. Froch acknowledged Davis's superior skill set, but cautioned that Paul's sheer size and unorthodox power could pose a serious threat, stressing that Davis won't be used to being hit like that. His comments echo the growing unease across boxing circles, where many view the matchup less as a legitimate contest and more as a dangerous spectacle, one that raises serious questions about both credibility and fighter safety.
Today we're going to talk about the boxing world and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 5+ smaller guy than him in Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65+ weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery of the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that, you know, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, you know, he's got a 40-year age gap between them? You know, why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, you know, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring at Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, you know, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 220 weight range. So, you know, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. You know, he claims to want to be a real fighter, but, you know, he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting, you know, top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. You know, he fights, you know, these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who, is on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So, I think it's ironic though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed? They weren't, allegedly. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Amir Khan has fiercely condemned the scheduled exhibition between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis, calling it disgusting and warning of serious safety risks. Khan highlighted the massive physical disparity, Paul weighing around 200 pounds with an 8-inch height advantage versus Davis at 135, as proof of a dangerously lopsided matchup that would never be professionally sanctioned. He cautioned that such contests not only invite the risk of severe injury, but also threaten to erode boxing's credibility. Khan praised promoter Turki Alalshik for refusing to back what he described as YouTube-style spectacles that damage the sport's integrity.
On a guy who's obviously a lot heavier than him, but in an exhibition fight. What are your thoughts on this fight?
A really bad mismatch, and you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just fair on Davis. But like, say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You don't know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, I think they're making boxing a joke, really.
Yeah.
One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly, then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.